Going to start from the beginning of Hilchos Shabbos from Siman and Beis. Try to see Laut Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. Try to cover some of the basic halachos over here. In Siman and Beis, Laut Rebbe starts speaking about the halachos of covered Shabbos, of honoring Shabbos. And Laut Rebbe starts off with the introduction that there's two things that were explained and brought explicitly brought out through the Nevi'im regarding Shabbos, and they are kavod and oinig, honoring Shabbos and the mitzvah of enjoying Shabbos. And it brings down the pasuk v'karasol Shabbos oinig l'ktosh Hashem mechubad, pasuk that says they should call Shabbos oinig, enjoyment, and l'ktosh Hashem, to the day that's holy upon Hashem mechubad, it should be, honored. And the Rebbe here brings two opinions, whether the kavod and the oinig on Shabbos, the fact that one has to honor Shabbos, one has to enjoy Shabbos, whether it's ikarim min ha-Torah, although it was explained only through the Nevi'im, it doesn't say clearly in the Torah. But the question is whether is its source of it, is it still at its root a din Torah d'oraisa, or is it only a d'Rabbanan? So that those that learn that from the fact that Shabbos is called Mikra Kodesh, so therefore Mikra Kodesh has the meaning, according to some opinions, that you have to enjoy it, you have to be ma'anik it, you have to be mechabed it, you have to honor it with a clean garment. That's one of the gedorim, one of the ways how we honor Shabbos is by wearing clean clothes, as the Rebbe explains, as we see this point brought out later in the other Simanim. And also that another part of Mikra Kodesh, of a holy calling, the holy day of calling, is, according to this interpretation, to honor it with the oinig, with the enjoyment of eating and drinking. So if you learn that the title of the word Mikra Kodesh in the pasuk means kavod and oinig, honoring it and enjoying it. So if so, since Mikra Kodesh is a pasuk in the Torah, so that would mean that the honor and the enjoyment of Shabbos is a din Torah. At least its sources, it's be'ikar min ha-Torah, even though it might not be explicitly written in the Torah. However, there's other opinions that Mikra Kodesh only means you're not allowed to do any work, but the kavod and the oinig is only midrabanan. Which this is the opinion of the Rebbe has your whole Kuntra Sachrin, also might be the Rambam's opinion, whatever it might be. But at any rate, the Rebbe says whatever the matter might be, even if you're going to say that the kavod and oinig, honoring and enjoying Shabbos, is only midrabanan, nevertheless, a person has to be careful in them ma'oid, very careful in honoring and enjoying Shabbos, because even if it's only a drabanan, even if it's only from the Chachamim, it's chamurim divrei seifrim yosem divrei Torah. The words of the Chachamim have a certain stringency over the words of Torah. And that Rebbe finishes off that whoever enjoys Shabbos, so his schar, his reward, is explained explicitly in the Nevi'im, that it says, Oz tisanag al Hashem, that then you will merit to enjoy Hashem, in other words, in Elam Haba. And another place the Chachamim say that he is forgiven on all the sins, and in his nitzl he is saved from the din of Gehenna. So basically, the Rebbe points out, the Rebbe is giving a brief introduction to the laws of kavod and oinig Shabbos, and he's explaining what the source is, whether it's min ha-Torah or midrabanan. But at any rate, it's understood from the Rebbe the chashivus, the importance of kavod and oinig Shabbos, even if it is only a drabanan. The Rebbe just points out in parentheses that there's one thing that, according to everybody, is min ha-Torah, which is on Yom Tiv, one's enjoying himself and eating and drinking in Yom Tiv. So that is already inyan of simcha. There's a chiyuv of simcha, of being happy on Yom Tiv, which, as the Rebbe explains more in Hilchos Shabbos, Siman Tov Kuf Chavtes, in times the Beis HaMikdash was there, the chiyuv was on eating the karbonos, the meat of the karbonos. Bisman hazeh that we don't have the meat, so there's not such a strong chiyuv on meat. There's still a mitzvah to eat meat, but the main chiyuv is bisman hazeh on wine. But this is definitely min ha-Torah, because there, that's mitzvah the gather of simcha, of happiness and enjoyment that's connected with happiness, as the Rebbe explains in Kuntra Sachrin in his cotton base. So that is min ha-Torah on Yom Tov. However, on Shabbos, on Shabbos is a chiyuv of oinig, of enjoying. However, there's no explicit chiyuv of simcha, although it does say in the Sifri that v'yom simchascham elu ha-Shabbosis, there is enough simcha on Shabbos, but so that's dealt with in other places. The whole arich is exactly how you interpret that lahalacha. But at any rate, the main chiyuv of simcha, that is a chiyuv of eating and meat and drinking wine to bring out happiness, which is minat Torah, is only on Yom Tov, according to everybody. On Shabbos, it will depend whether you learn that the title of the word Mikra Kodesh, that V'yem Ashri Shabbos Shabbos Mikra Kodesh, where the Mikra Kodesh includes, is the pshat of the words Mikra Kodesh in the Torah mean kavod and oinig, or it's only that the Chachamim brought out this concept of kavod v'oinig, and even though it doesn't say it's not included in the words Mikra Kodesh. So in Sif Beis, Al Rebbe explains with what does one ma'anik Shabbos, with what does one enjoy Shabbos. So the Al Rebbe says like this. Al Rebbe says in the days b'mei chachmi ha-Gemara, in the times of the sages of the Gemara, so we find that the oining that they had then was with dogim gedolim, big fish, or betavshel shel tardin, and with a cooked thing of tardin. Tardin is, the Al Rebbe writes in Chos Rosh Hashanah, silka, which some people commonly translate as beets, although I saw that there's a whole question whether silka is beets or not, at any rate, but whatever, it's not negel halacha anyway, but that's, there's some people attain the tardin as beets, whatever it might be. But in those days, that was the oinig, that was the enjoyment of Shabbos, having these cooked things, because in those days, that was considered enjoyment. What was considered the enjoyable thing? So before they had pizza and ice cream, this was considered the enjoyable food. However, the Rebbe says, "V'chol makim u'makim lefi minhagim." In each place, you follow the minhag of the place. So whatever in that place is considered an enjoyable food, so that's what you should have on Shabbos. And that's what, whatever food and drink is considered in that place as a oinig, as enjoyment, you should have that on Shabbos. Now, the Rebbe explains that there's no obligation to eat meat and to drink wine on Shabbos. In other words, there's no chiyuv that one should say. On Yom Tov, for example, there's a chiyuv to have wine. But on Shabbos, there's no chiyuv to have wine, nor is there a chiyuv necessarily an explicit obligation to eat meat or chicken. It's just, why is it accepted that we have wine and meat on Shabbos? Because minas stam, the Rebbe says, probably most people enjoy eating meat more than other foods, and they enjoy drinking wine more than other beverages. Therefore, they should be marba, they should add meat and wine as much as they're capable and as much as they could afford. Fine, so this is basically that Rebbe is laying down that the Oinig Shabbos does not have an explicit definition of what exactly one has to eat. Rather, it depends on whatever is the mokim, whatever that place at that time is considered enjoyable treat, enjoyable food, that's what you should eat. Then in Sif Gimel, the Rebbe goes on, and the Rebbe here in the following halachas lays out for people that are poor and can't afford, and sometimes even have to come on to get stuck in money, about exactly what they should do regarding the expenses of Shabbos. The Rebbe says in Sif Gimel, the Rebbe says that whoever adds in spending Shabbos and preparing good and many dishes, quantity and quality, hareitzim meshubach, he's praiseworthy, as long as he could afford it. And he says, what if he doesn't have any cash ready available, doesn't have any money that he could use right now to buy food, but he has different things, he has certain things in the house that he could pawn and get money, borrow money on them. So he says that's what he should do, he should pawn them and get money, and the Eibishter will pay him back for it. As it says, listen, the Chachamim say that Hashem says, Lavu alai v'ani peireya, that borrow on me and I will pay, borrow on my cheshbon and I will pay back. In other words, what does that mean? That means that although in Rosh Hashanah was a setup, we know that Eibishter sets up the amount of money that everybody will need for all his expenses and for all his food, etc., etc. But as the Chachamim say, that from the day of Rosh Hashanah, all the person's expenses and all the things the person needs to eat is already established in Rosh Hashanah. But nevertheless, the expenses that he has for Shabbos and Yom Tov, so for that, they don't set up a certain budget, milmaila, on Rosh Hashanah, what he's going to get. Rather, it says if a person adds in the Yitzhak Shabbos and the person adds in his expenses, so min hashemayim, they add to him as well. If a person doesn't add, so he doesn't get it. So therefore, a person could rely that if he's going to, that if he has things to pawn, with which to buy money to spend for Shabbos, so we could rely. The Eibishter says that I'll pay you back, and even though you don't see right now that it's part of your budget. However, the Rebbe says if you don't have anything to pawn and to borrow money on, you should not borrow money with, in other words, borrow money only if you have something to pawn it on. If you don't have anything to pawn, don't borrow the money and rely that Hashem will pay you back. Because since you don't have anything, he doesn't have anything, can't even give a mashkin, he can't even pawn anything, so therefore there's no obligation for him at all to increase in the expenses of Shabbos more than he could have made if he has up something that even if he can't pay back, but at least he gave us a mashkin and he pawned it. So fine, so at least he can say, David just says, so you gave this thing, I will give you money to get it back. But if you don't have anything, you're getting money out and you don't have any mashkin, you don't have anything, so then Shulchan Aruch says don't borrow the money. Then he goes weiter in Sif Daled and Sif Hey, and he goes into the Sif Daled, Hey and Vav, all different regarding halacha, somebody that needs to take money from tzedakah. So basically, Alter Rebbe says that somebody that wants, let's say somebody that doesn't, is right now, they used to have every Erev Shabbos, used to give out a certain amount of meals that for the whole week. So basically, this guy right now has just enough meals for the week that he has. He doesn't have to go and take from the distribution pantry that was arranged that they had in the cities as it's stuck. So the halacha is that if he has enough meals for Shabbos, he just wants to take from this pantry, wants to take from this kupashot staka, in order to be able to have an extra meal. From Shabbos, he's supposed to have 3 meals instead of 2 meals. Or if he wants to have extra chveis, extra delicacies and things like that, so he's not allowed to, if he doesn't need to come on to the kupashot staka, if he doesn't, for what he has for right now, it's enough, that he wouldn't have to go take from the staka, from the pantry of tzedakah that they had, he should not take from there just in order to be able to have Einik Shabbos. Because as we say, this is the famous rule of the Chachamim, that Asay Shabbatcha Choil V'al Titztarech Lebrius, that you should make your Shabbos like a weekday, and you should not have to come on to Bria, you shouldn't have to come on to tzedakah and having other people support you. So if you have enough, so don't, and you'll be able to survive, just, even though if your Shabbos, you'll just eat the amount of food they eat on a regular weekday, you just have, supper and breakfast, you won't have anything extra for Shabbos. Nevertheless, don't take tzedakah for this, because I say Shabbat Chachoil, you should rather make your Shabbos like a weekday and not come on to, the help of other people. However, somebody that anyway needs, Alter Rebbe goes on and Sif Hey, somebody that anyway needs to get from tzedakah, and they give him, usually they would give him for every day of the week, they used to give them 2 meals, one for supper and one for breakfast or lunch. However, it worked in those days, but one for the night and one for the day. So then they have a chiyuv to give him, for if he's already getting meals from that tzedakah fund, that they have a chiyuv to give him also for Shabbos an extra meal. And they also have to give him, besides giving him extra meals, also they used to give him fish and vegetables. That was, I guess, besides giving him the regular bread and water, whatever they would give, or whatever, I don't know, whatever the cheshbon was that they would give. It's probably discussed in Hilchos Shabbos more befratius, more in detail. They would have to add a special, besides having an extra meal of whatever they would regularly give, they should also add extra delicacies, if at least for this poor person, which is fish and vegetables. Because since he's already nisrach libri, so here you can't say, that you should make his Shabbos like a weekday and not to come on to the support of other people, because he already needs to come on to the support of other people. So therefore, they give him whatever he needs, and since part of his needs for Shabbos include the extra meal for Shalosh Shudas, and the fish and the vegetables to have Einik Shabbos, so therefore it's a chiyuv for them to give him, for those that are running the tzedakah fund to give him. As you know, by tzedakah, the chiyuv is one has to give tzedakah the full amount of whatever the person needs. So too, even if a person doesn't get meals, but he's getting from another amount of, another tzedakah fund that they give him, they give him money, whatever it is, as long as he's allowed to, according to the halachas of tzedakah, he's allowed to take from tzedakah, so he could, based on whatever budget they allow him, the allowance they give him for a week, he could use part of that money to to buy things for Shabbos. However, the Alter Rebbe just says a person that is getting money from tzedakah, they give him a certain weekly allowance to spend money, so he's allowed to add more, take more money more than he would usually use for his regular weekday meals. He's allowed to spend more money for Shabbos meals. But nevertheless, he shouldn't spend so much money until it's going to take away from the amount of money that he needs for the week, for the regular weekdays, and will have to add more and give him more tzedakah because he's spending so much money on Shabbos. Because in such a case, even though he's already getting tzedakah, but he's making them add to his tzedakah more than he would regularly take, because he's deciding to have a whole Shabbos, fancy Shabbos meal on the cheshbon of his weekday meals. So on this it also says, Asay Shabbat Chachal Val Tisarach Lebrius. Don't make, in other words, even though over here he already needs the support of other people, but don't make them responsible also for your Shabbat. If they're giving you a certain amount of money, which would be enough for the whole week, so you could Lefi Erech, according proportionally, use extra money for Shabbos, but don't use so much money for Shabbos that they're going to have to add more to the regular amount they would give you for the whole week. And he says that if they Bechlal don't even give him enough money that he should be able to spend anything extra for Shabbos. However, if he has a little bit more, if he has a little bit of his own, he should try to be mezares himself. He should try to, whatever little bit amount he could save up, he should try to spend for L'chavet Shabbos whatever little bit amount of money that he has. If the amount of money that they're giving him for tzedakah doesn't allow him to use anything extra for Shabbos, at least if he has ma'at mishlo, he has a little bit from himself, he should try to use whatever he could. And he says, however, if he doesn't have anything, he's totally broke, and they're only giving him just enough money for the regular weekdays, and he just has enough money to spend Shabbos like he spends a regular weekday, he doesn't have to ask anybody that they should give him. He should not ask from other people they should give him more money in order to spend Shabbos more berevach, more honorable than the regular days of the week, because they already said that say Shabbat Chachel should make your Shabbos like a regular weekday, and you should not have to come on to other people. However, the Alter Rebbe says you should at least try to do something in order to be Mekayim the mitzvah of honoring Shabbos. Make something small, make a kleine dish, something extra, a shtickle herring, I don't know, but something extra to L'chavet Shabbos. And if he says he doesn't even have, that they're not even, from what they're giving him, he's not even able to make anything small, anything L'chavet Shabbos, so he should minimize the amount of money that he uses, the amount of food, whatever, that he uses the other days, the amount of money he uses the other days, in order that he should be able to make at least something small from Shabbos. And he says, and somebody, of course, somebody that Bechal doesn't take from stuff, he just uses whatever small amount of money he has, he should not ask from other people they should give him. He doesn't have to ask from other people they should give him more for Shabbos. But what he should do is that during the rest of the days of the week, be mitzamtzim, minimize whatever he has in the sen, in order that he should have something extra, even though it will be very small, lo'inik Shabbos, to the honor, for the enjoyment of Shabbos. This is better than having people support him. Alter Rebbe then goes on in Siv Zayin, and Alter Rebbe says somebody that doesn't have enough money to spend a lot for my Choli Shabbos, I mean, he's able to afford somewhat, but he doesn't have enough money to have a lot of foods of Shabbos. So it's good for him to be careful that he should not minimize, should have at least 2 tafshilin, 2 cooked things. And I think the klal over here is the way, I think it's based on the Ramon, where people in Farshim explain that during the weekdays the minimal was 1 tafshil, 1 cooked thing. So for Shabbos to have 2 cooked things, 2 courses. So I think they say, so if a regular person, a regular meal, he has 2 courses on Shabbos, he should have an extra tafshil, he should have an extra course, something extra l'chavet Shabbos. Now the Rebbe says, Toiv li zor, it's good to be careful to eat fish in every meal. Unless fish, the person doesn't like fish and they hurt him, so, or he doesn't like them, he has no pleasure from them, he has tsar, he has pain from eating fish, so he's obviously working the whole idea here of eating the fish is mitzad oinik Shabbos. If he doesn't like the fish, there's no point in eating the fish. Shabbos was given for oinik. So here the Alter Rebbe says that there's Indian to eat fish. It's no chiyuv again. Alter Rebbe has in the Kunta Sacher in Sivkot and Daled, there's somebody that wanted to say that fish is a chiyuv min ha-Torah, and Alter Rebbe says that it's tamuah mo'oid, it's very wondrous to say such a thing. That the Alter Rebbe says that in the Torah doesn't say a word about fish, doesn't say anything clearly about having fish in Shabbos. Because even with the Rabbanon, the Alter Rebbe says, Ein tam b'derech ha-nigla sheyiskenu dafke dogim. There's no tam, according to Nigla, that they should have dafke fish. So from here is mashma that al kaponim, which is known that al pi Kabbalah, there is a big inyan in having fish on Shabbos. And befrat, so it's brought down, befrat in Shalosh Shudas, there is an inyan to have fish. But Al Kopanim, so this is Al Pi Nigla, there's still, even though there's no tam that says clearly why to have fish, besides, I guess you're going to say that it's in Indian that people understand that it is, that it's has some type of oinik. Nevertheless, even Al Pi Nigla is brought down as something to do. Al Rebbe Siddur, Itaka says by Shalosh Shudas, he says, "V'toiv lechel dog b'sudas zu yesem b'shar sudas." That it's best to eat fish in the third meal by Shalosh Shudas more than any other meal. And I think the reason is they explain as Al Pi Kabbalah that eating a fish is shaykh dafka the Shalosh Shudas. But anyway, there's many different reasons that are brought down in Sfarim about the reason for eating fish. My father would always mention the famous time from the Bnei Yisachar that the fish were created on the 5th day. The Eibusha gave them a bracha to multiply. And then the person was created, Adam was created on the 6th day, and he got his bracha. And Shabbos also was the 7th day that got its bracha. So you want to have 3 brachas together: the bracha of the 5th day, which went on the fish, and the bracha of Friday, which is the bracha of the people, and the bracha of Shabbos, which is on the 7th day. So you want to have all 3 brachas together. Achut hashlishi, achut hamishul, shleivi meida yinatik. That is a string that's made out of three strands together. The string that's made out of 3 strands together will last. But that's one reason, the famous reason from the Bnei Yisachar. There's other reasons that are given for eating fish on Shabbos. So it says that if the Rebbe says, I guess this was common in those days, that since the Goyim knew that Yidden were makbet to eat fish, so it was like Ma'aseh Shehoya that they used to try to make the fish very expensive, try to bring up the price in order to get money. But the Rebbe says that if the Goyim are making the price of fish very expensive, because of this there are several people that can't buy fish for Shabbos, so it's nochin l'sakin, it's proper to be l'sakin that no Jew should buy fish from them for several weeks, in order that afterwards the price will go down, which will be able to be mekayim in the mitzvah of Einik Shabbos. So there's a famous story that everybody probably knows with the guy that tried to make the fish price go up, and then whoever it was, this Makubal that gave a message to the fish to disappear. I'm sure it's in the storyteller and Machanayim Buchut, etc. But anyway, this was the word, because the Goyim that saw that the Yidden are makbid and having fish in Shabbos, they would give whatever they would have. So therefore, they used that opportunity to try to squeeze out the money from the Jews. So that's why the halach is already discussed and brought down that it's best to not have fish and to make the Goyim realize that it's not going to pay, and know that you'll be able to have fish and be mekayim, that later on they'll put down the price and they'll be able to have fish and be mekayim in the mitzvah of Einik Shabbos. Al Rebbe goes on Sif Ches and he says that if they send somebody to eat a food, to eat on Shabbos, he should not eat it during the weekdays. Mimidas Chassidus. As Al Rebbe says, Minadin, there's no way that somebody sends you food, that's a dessert, plates, a cake, or whatever it is, he sends you for Shabbos. So there's nothing wrong if you're going to eat it during the weekdays. But Mimidas Chassidus, there's still as an Indian of Lefnim, Meshudas Adin, there's an Indian that a food that was sent for Shabbos, you should keep for Shabbos. You shouldn't use during the weekdays unless obviously it's going to spoil or whatever it might be. Then the Alter Rebbe says in Sif Tes, the Alter Rebbe says your big chiddush, which is a whole to do on. The Alter Rebbe says that a person, even though you're not allowed to borrow with interest from another Yid, nevertheless, Alter Rebbe says that in order for the need, if you need money for Shabbos and Yom Tov, for the needs of Shabbos and Yom Tov, for any other Sudas mitzvah, so you're allowed to borrow an interest if it's a ribis d'Rabbanon. If it's an interest which is only midrabbanon, if there's a ribis which is only midrabbanon, so then, which Alter Rebbe explains in Hilchos Ribis, what type of ribis is what type of interest is also min HaTorah, what type of interest is also midrabbanon. But anyway, if he has no other way of getting money, only for Yid, I mean, there's only a Yid that's obviously not the biggest tzaddik. That's only going to lend him if he takes interest. If it's only interest, which is awesome the Rabbanim, he should do it for the need of Suda Shabbos. Now, a lot of people disagree with this, but anyway, there's a whole pilpul back and forth about this. But the Alter Rebbe clearly holds that for the need of Suda Mitzvah, Suda Shabbos, one is allowed to borrow money in interest midrabbanim. It's only a rabbinic prohibition of interest. One is allowed for the need of the Suda Shabbos if he has no other way of borrowing money. Sif Yud, the Alter Rebbe says, Zocher Sema Shabbos L'Katshoy. The Alter Rebbe brings the famous Gemara that says that you should remember the day of Shabbos to make it holy. So it says that there was a difference between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. The Beis Shammai says that what does it mean you should remember the day of Shabbos? That already from Sunday you should remember it. That if you had if you have something that you find in the marketplace, which is a good, a good type of food, a good item to buy for Shabbos, already from Sunday you should set an eye. Whenever you have, you should, whatever you see in the marketplace that's good for Shabbos, you should buy for Shabbos. It said, the Gemara brings down the Gemara that they said on Shammai HaZaken that all his days he would eat l'chavit Shabbos. What does that mean? That if he was in the marketplace and he saw a good animal, a nice animal, he would buy it. And he said, this is for Shabbos. If he found even a better animal, he would take that and keep that for Shabbos, and then he would eat the first animal that he brought. He would eat it, during the weekdays. So he would eat the first animal that he brought in order that the better animal should be eaten for Shabbos. So Shammai always did that. He found something on Shabbos, he bought it. Then he would find something even better, so he would buy that and eat the first thing during the weekdays. So like this, he has the better thing left for Shabbos. However, Hilchos Shabbos was different. Hilchos Shabbos midah acheres haisa, but he had a different approach. What was his midah? What was his way of serving Hashem? He would say, Baruch Hashem, yom yamas lanu tzarkeinu. That blesses Hashem that every day He gives us what we need. We don't have to worry from Sunday what's going to happen on Friday. Hillel would buy closer to Shabbos what he needs for Shabbos, and he wouldn't, right away when he sees something buying for Shabbos, he would rely that Hashem already would supply him what the Shabbos needs before Shabbos. And he said, the Rebbe said that even Hillel agrees that it's better to do like Beis Shammai, to prepare, ready buy from Sunday food for Shabbos. But Almai Hillel had such bitachon in the Eibishter. It's not that Hillel holds, no, there's no point in doing what Shammai did. Yeah, he also that it's better if you see something to buy for Shabbos. Hillel just had such bitachon that he was sure that the Eibishter will definitely give him for Shabbos a better portion than during the weekdays. So therefore, the Rebbe says that, the Rebbe, I guess, is not writing a proposal what you should do, but I guess he's giving you the guidelines that al pi halacha there's an inyan to prepare ready, you can buy things from Shabbos at the beginning of the week. Unless a person has bitachon, whatever it is, so then he can do like Hillel. Then the Rebbe says that Ezra Yudal of Sif Yudal, the Rebbe writes that Ezra HaSefer was Masakin. He instituted that they should wash clothes on Thursday, in order that they should have clean white clothes for Shabbos. So he was Masakin that they should wash clothes for Thursday. But Erev Shabbos, people didn't have time to wash clothes because they were busy preparing for Shabbos, so therefore he set up you should wash the clothes on Thursday. So again, it's not those days washing. I don't know if today, those days washing was a whole thing. But today just you put in the machine, etc. But at any rate, that's what the halacha says. It's also mashim a little bit that you wear white clothes on Shabbos, like the Kabbalah wear white clothes. At any rate. Then the Rebbe finishes off in Sif Yud Beis with Gimel that there's a minig that people make in their own house. They make challah, and they need a dough that should have the shear they should take challah from in order to use that challah on Shabbos, and they should not buy bread or challah from the street like they do in regular days. And this is Mikavod Shabbos, and the part of the honor of Shabbos and Yom is to make your own challah, and that's the minig. The Rebbe says ve'ein l'shanes haminig, you shouldn't change the minig. So I guess it's an Indian, whatever it is, but the obviously the meaning brought on the Shulchan Aruch that part of the covet of Shabbos is to make your own, to show that you're honoring Shabbos, is to make your own challah. Now the Rebbe finishes off in Sif Yud Gimel that in those places they would eat pashal nachem, they would eat past bread from a non-Jewish bakery, which in halacha and it would be allowed under certain circumstances. Obviously, it's not, it has certain halachic restrictions and it's only applied in certain times and places, etc. But we b'chlal are makbid in this. But nevertheless, those places that they would eat it all the days of the week, the way it was permitted al pi halacha, but they have to. But he says that on Shabbos and Yom Tov they should be careful. It's good for them to be careful not to eat on Shabbos and Yom Tov only from the kosher breads that they baked they kneaded themselves in their house for Shabbos and Yom Tov, and this is part of the honor of Shabbos and Yom Tov. So we'll stop here. This is the end of Siman Mem Beis, and we'll continue next week in Mitzvah Hashem.